I the asshole for blowing up on my team after they misspelled my name on 200 hoodies, even though I approved the mock-ups? I can see how this one will get somebody's blood to boil, because it certainly would boil mine. What's going on with you, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Am I the Asshole Music Stories episode. Of course, if you don't know, if it's your first time here, I do this for the overlooked, the underbooked, and the overprepared. You're not solo in this. You're just meticulous. I don't know how I would act in this situation if somebody misprinted on my hoodies. I mean, you see what I got on. I got a whole bunch of merch. You can go ahead and visit the description below to get you some of that merch. I'm just saying. If this happened to me, I don't know how I would react. And yeah, let's get into it and see how they reacted. Merch was supposed to be my big move this quarter. I lined up everything. New single drop, local show run, a fresh hoodie design to sell online and at shows. This wasn't some random graphic tee. I spent weeks sketching concepts, sending ideas back and forth, making sure the design matched my brand. My logo, my slogan, all in bold font. Clean, sharp. I like clean and bold font. I mean, you can clearly see that here. I think it sends out a very strong message that this brand is classic. It's meant to stand the test of time. I had a glitch out just then. I think about the Marathon brand. It's clean, it's simple, but everybody recognizes it. So very, very good job as far as putting down a clean, bold outline for your logo and that new push. The box shows up the day before my first show. I rip it open, pull out the first hoodie, and just stare. Right there across the front. Official merch buy. Now, he does put his rap name here, but I took that part out. One, because, you know, I don't give names. And clearly, you're trying to get some shameless promotion. I'm the only one that's promoting his own brand here. No shade to you. It's my channel. Do it on your own channel. A typo so disrespectful, it looks intentional. Like I'm out here rebranding as a medieval Dutch rapper. A medieval Dutch. If y'all saw his name, y'all would understand. But I'm not gonna show you his name. I checked the entire batch, 200 hoodies, every single one with the wrong name. At first, I thought maybe I sent in the wrong file. Nope, I checked the proofs. The mock-up was correct. Somewhere between the screen and the press, somebody fat-fingered my whole career. Somebody fat-fingered. That is a wild statement, but I get what you're saying. Somebody did something with their fingers, somebody mistyped something, and they sent in the wrong thing. It's always good to check and double check everything you send out. So what you did here was absolutely correct. Keep on going back and forth with people until everything looks completely right. Now, if something should happen between here and there that you have no control over, that is really unfortunate. I got a story for this one, actually. I'm gonna come back to that. Now, here's where it gets messy. The merch company says I approved the final digital order, so they're not at fault. Except the proof they sent me didn't have the typo, which means somebody fixed something on their side and never told me. Ooh, I would be pissed. This is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit skeptical to work with online vendors. I do work with online vendors. That's where this merch is coming from. But I do a strong vetting process. Not only do I read Google reviews, I go on ChatGPT to make sure I got all the intricate details of what this site does. I go on to different Reddit forums to find out if anybody has any information about how this company works, because stuff like this can happen and I can't pull up and get in your face personally. That's the real reason why I'm skeptical of online purchasing, online vending, all that good stuff, because I can't come up and see you face to face. And I wish we would get back to that. I lost it. Not violent, but enough to make my engineer leave the room. Hey, so you got this while you was in the studio? Yeah, I feel sorry for your engineer that has to sit there and take that secondhand beating. Verbal beating. We're not actually condoning physical violence. I demanded they reprint the hoodies for free. They told me it'd take 2 weeks. I had shows that weekend. Ooh, that's a bind. That's a bind. I would probably sell them anyway. I would sell them anyway and try to find some way to flip it. That's just me. So I did the only thing I could. I sold them anyway. Yeah, okay. So we on the same page. Definitely would have sold them anyway, because what can you do at that point? You still got money you got to make. And it can get deeper than that. I'm gonna come back to it. I leaned into it. Told people it was a limited edition misprint. Some fans thought it was hilarious and bought two. Others side-eyed me like I was a lazy amateur who couldn't even spell his own name. And that's part of the risk you run. I'm glad you did have fans that understood. Obviously, if you have fans that rock with you, they know what your name is and how it's spelled. Some might be like, oh, I thought you spelled it like this. And then it makes it a better story. Here's what I was going to get to. There was a vinyl press that Kanye West had. And back then, years ago, people didn't know how to spell Kanye. K-A-Y-N-E. Kanye. No, K-A-N-Y-E. Woo! I messed it up. I messed it up myself. When he put out his first couple mixtapes and I think he had a street album, he put it on vinyl and they misprinted his name, Kanye West. My DJ Swivel, told me about this and he actually bought that misprint. What ends up happening, if you spin it the right way, which it sounds like you did, let people know this is a misprint. It's a mistake. But now you have a limited edition because the real ones are going to come out and nobody's going to have these anymore. Not this. This was printed the right way. So you have something, if I continue with my career, you're gonna have something that could possibly be worth something someday. That's a cool little spin. You're also not lying to the fans. It is a misprint. Now, for the ones who's looking at you sideways, they have the right to look at you sideways too, because I don't wanna buy a misprint. Some people, certainly my wife is not gonna buy a misprint. I might, depending on how I'm feeling that day, but I think you took the better chance of actually selling it anyway. Now my team says I overreacted to the whole situation, that mistakes happened, that I should have laughed it off and moved on. But you did. You did move on. You didn't laugh it off, but you did move on. So your team, I think, is a little bit in the wrong here. You have every right to blow up. You're running a chance that people will actually understand that mistakes happen. Like I said in another video, crowds do not care. They want what they want. If you don't have it, they're not going to buy it, or they might bash you, or both. So you're right to blow up and protect your brand. This is your livelihood. Nowadays, people don't just care about the music. They care about the entire package, the branding, the way you look. And if your name is misspelled, that speaks ill on your brand, so I do not blame you for blowing up at all. But I feel like I had every right to be mad. I'm trying to build a brand here, not run a bootleg knockoff of myself. And there it is. You see what I'm saying? Now I look like I'm amateur. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is I look like I don't know what I'm doing. Now, if in fact I do something wrong and I don't know what I'm doing, I don't mind being schooled. I don't mind being called out on that. But when I've gone back and forth with you about the proofs, the mock-ups, and making sure everything's tight and it still comes back messed up, yeah, we got issues, fam. And I am very slow to forgive in that regard. Am I the asshole for blowing up on my merch team over the typo, even though I ended up selling the hoodies anyway? So let's come to a unanimous decision. I'm unanimous. I'm the only one in here. I think dude is not the asshole. The merch team. Actually, no, the vendor who misprinted is the asshole. So for anybody watching, if you are an artist and you're trying to get into this, understand your brand is the most sacred thing you have, especially if you're trying to take this extremely serious. You got to protect that brand, and anything you have to do to protect it, short of violence, is what you have to do. If you got to blow up in people's faces to make sure they take you serious, then do that by any means necessary. And if they messed up your name, then they owe you for that. Talking about the vendor themselves. The vendor who messed up the print, they absolutely should reimburse you or cop the next batch for free. And to prevent that from happening in the future, I would say pad out at least a week, maybe 2 weeks before your first show, before you get the shipment into you. That way if there's something wrong, like what just happened, you have time to make the corrections that you need to make. On top of that, I would also suggest if one of those fans bought that misprint and they come to the next show, be willing to swap it out if they want to do that. And that's for anybody else. Just be upfront, eye level with people. I know you bought the misprint. It's not something that was supposed to be sold, so let me go ahead and swap that out. Anybody else? You can't, so for fans watching, you can't bank on artists always doing that. I got a story where I bought the same album from an artist twice, and they could have let me know I was buying the same album twice, but I don't fault that person because, hey, get your money. Just be mindful that not everybody's gonna be eye level like that. But that's what I think. I don't think dude is an asshole. I think the vendor is an asshole. But in an added step, make sure you pad out enough time between when you get the shipment and when you actually wanna use them so you can correct any mistakes that happen, because mistakes always do happen. No, you're not the asshole. The vendor's the asshole. But that's what I think. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember to be nice down there, please. Hey, hold up. Before you go, if you enjoyed this Am I the Asshole story, please make sure you click the playlist on the screen. The rest of the stories go just as hard, and some of them a little bit harder than this one. I'm trying to give you these stories weekly, and possibly faster, but I need y'all to keep watching. So click the playlist on the screen and stay tapped in. And hey, if you have a wild music story, don't hold back. Go ahead and click the link in the description and submit your Am I the Asshole moment. It could be your story I break down next. Tap in with me. You know I tap back. Peace.
Everything meticulous.